Oh, yeah.
Um.
Grand Slam.
Okay, no. Here we go. Okay, let's just get into this here. Hold on. But I like, you know how I like starting organically.
I do too.
So much so that people that I interview are often like, are we doing this right now? And some don't, and I love them for it because they get it's just a conversation. But others, it's so crazy. They're indoctrinated to think, oh, we're recording. Hold on, let me turn into something else. And it's like no, we were having a great conversation. And there's so many podcasts. I do a lot of podcasts that are going so well just conversationally. And then they have this moment where they Tasmanian devil into this whole new version of themselves because, oh, are we recording? Is this for being recorded right now? What are we doing right now? I'm like, I don't know, being people, the most interesting version of yourself, and now you're about to change that, okay, and become half of that while you try to massage each word that rolls off your tongue.
Or find a big word.
Yeah, find a big word, yes. So, let's be as polysyllabic as possible. Welcome back. This is Extracted, Season 4, Episode 4. And we are in the Bang Bang Bunker, named so because the dogs hide under the pop shot whenever there's thunder and or fireworks. Also, we are keeping score. No one got a point.
It's still 0-0.
Last week, I thought for sure you would request an edit, but it would have been my fault because I pushed you to that point. So there's some gray area. We'd have to bring in the NFL rules expert. But, you know, here's how you get a point on this show, is if either of us say something that we want to edit out, well, then the other person gets a point. Because you got to be strong. You got to have convictions. You got to believe in what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that brings me to this point. What are we saying today? What's our 1, 2, 3?
One is I'm holding here the congratulations Moth Grand Slam champion, second year in a row.
Ba-boom.
Jared Ewey.
Thank you. And I told Sarah this morning, I was like, you know, I like contests. I like doing these things. And, but that one is probably what of which I'm most proud.
And like, I just am holding all of the things that you've won. And I just noticed since 2023, you've only been doing this 2 years. Mm-hmm. And not only have you smoked 5 other local competitions, but you've won 2 of the Grand Slam Monster Jam championships of the Moth storytelling competition.
Yeah, I think there's another one. And another one I tied. So,
well,
yeah.
These are all winners, my friend.
Well, and it was pretty awesome, to look up to see you and Sarah and your mom there. Yep. Your mom...
4th row.
I know. 950 people, sold out show.
It was amazing.
And, it was a great night. I pulled the 10th teller, which...
saved the best for last.
Was great, because I wanted that pressure, but I didn't know they were going to make us sit in the auditorium.
I saw you, getting antsy, because I know you like to go outside and collect your thoughts and get in the mood.
Especially if you know you did the 10th. I just want to go on a little breezy walk, you know? Yeah. And, which is what I did the last Grand Slam, but now I was stuck in that front row and between two, they were just tiny seats, and, but that was fun. I got to see everybody, and it's tough because if to get to the Grand Slam, you do a local Moth, and those are, I think, even more entertaining because those people, they see a theme that they know they could tell a story about, and so they go with that. Otherwise, if it's not a theme that they can relate to, they don't. But the Grand Slam, you're there, and you must do the theme no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I'm most proud of it because there's a target on me, and also I didn't really have a story until the last few days.
That was impressive. You and I had talked all week, and you were going to be doing one story, and then the day before you were like, no, I'm going to do something totally different. And it was something I had never heard, and it was just amazing. And again, like I've said on other podcasts, I get tickled by the people around me laughing at your timing and the things that you say, because it's just so infectious. You're just so funny and so creative.
Well, it's funny. There's a debate, and I'm honored to be a part of it, or the subject of it. People say that they don't like my Moth stories.
Who?
A lot of people I know, they don't like them.
They're jealous.
Well, hold on. They don't like them compared to what they know me to do. And it's interesting because I know that, but there is a Moth cadence. There is a definitive Moth cadence that works with that crowd. And I don't know, I do that. But it also, I'm working towards being what they know, which is the phrase Jared in the living room, which was coined by Angel Sexton in 2005.
Comic.
Which was more this comedy style. And I got to say, the crowd was super generous. Like, they were laughing at stuff. I'm up there, and I made a conscious effort to make them not laugh for a second. Like, just to deliver a little exposition so that I could get to the bigger laughs. Because they're losing it on the most trivial lines.
But the guy that went before you had such a heavy performance. Yeah. And it was almost like, ugh. And so the fact that you got those genuine laughs speaks to the power of your stage presence and your creativity, because, you know, you were able to make people forget about what they had seen prior to you. And I'm not knocking that person. I'm just saying what they did, their format and context was just polar opposite from yours.
Well, it was so interesting because I didn't know what was happening. I went down to the green room, had a shot of wine, and grabbed a Reese's peanut butter cup thing. And I went back upstairs, and it was so quiet out there. I thought they were waiting for me. So I just ran for the stage and almost went out there. I grabbed a cable just to stop myself. I had cable grease on me when I went out there. And but that guy was just being so quiet. He was eliciting reaction about his dying grandfather. I didn't know that. I just imagined everybody just waiting for me.
He was reenacting the final breaths of his dying grandfather.
Yeah, Sarah told me there was some breathing and stuff. Yeah,
it was interesting. And he got a lot of tears, but you know, you sauntered out, and then it was just like a whole new day.
Well, it did help me because people were wanting a release.
Yeah.
And so I came out, and it was just a giggle fest. And it's funny, that guy, though, he was so serious in the pre-show, the sound check, and we're there 2 hours before it even starts. He was very serious. He was meditating. He wouldn't say a word, and it was a little awkward because he and I sat together. And then when I did my story and I sat down, he was like, "You got so many laughs. There's no way you don't win this."
Wow.
Yeah. And it was nice when I saw the representative of the judges go to the stage, and then the producer, Rhonda, kind of did a little fist bump.
You knew it.
I just had a feeling.
Well, it's funny because once you finished, I turned to your wife and I said, "He nailed it. He's got this." And, you know, Sarah's very fair, and she's very like, "Well, we'll see." And then as soon as I saw that judge run up to Rhonda, I was like, "It's Iwi." And so, of course, when they said your name, I was not surprised, but just giddy, because I love you, and I can't say that enough.
I mean, in a way, just being who I am, I felt bad for winning, because there's people that have done a lot of Grand Slams who have made it that far, and they haven't won. And one of those guys turned to me, and this is total flattery here, self-flattery, but he said, "You're untouchable.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing this, I'm not going to win."
That you've got natural talent. It's like Bo Nix, right? Or I'm trying to name some topical football player. You've got just raw talent and moxie. And I'm sorry if other people, you know, you shouldn't feel bad about winning. You should be very proud of yourself. You went through a lot of trauma in your life to make these stories come to life. And so I think it's fantastic. But you're very humble, so I get that you're not going to be like, "That's right," you know.
Should I try to tell the story on this podcast?
Sure. This is great. I love this.
Well, should I do it now?
Sure, let's do it.
But how about we come back to it, because I think we should cover some stuff you're going through, which is newsworthy and topical. The government shutdown.
The shutdown, not getting paid.
When was the last time you were paid?
Over a week ago, which is nothing compared to the executive branch. They haven't been paid since September. So, you know, it's more of a psychological thing, like a mind F, where it's like we're creeping up on the holidays. But I think what trumps, and that's a funny verb, what trumps that not getting paid is this cancellation of SNAP for 40 million people.
Yeah, it's this incredible job that Trump-like politicians have done for decades, and that is try to blame everybody's ills on the poor.
Right.
And there is this stark example which throws all that in the garbage where it belongs. And that is that just in 14 states surveyed, over 20,000 McDonald's and Walmart employees who are full-time are also on SNAP benefits because they don't make enough.
Exactly.
We're subsidizing Walmart and McDonald's to function and make the $12 billion plus that Walmart did in a year. And that's not the poor's causing that.
No.
And we're paying, you and I, a higher effective tax rate than Walmart or McDonald's while we subsidize their billions, while we subsidize their environmental destruction, while we subsidize their gutting of our communities, while we subsidize their full-time employees because they don't pay them enough.
You know, I just wanted to add on to what you're saying. I took a picture of this statistic yesterday. Almost half of food stamp recipients work. And I'm sure they are the ones that are making minimum wage.
And the other half?
And the other half that don't work are mostly over 65 or caregivers, or they're disabled. We're giving food stamps to 40 million because we don't pay, the U.S. does not pay a living wage, and we don't otherwise support elderly, disabled, or caregivers. You know, and I mean, you know, no secret, after all my medical stuff, I'm disabled. I'm lucky that, you know, I can work, but there was a time I couldn't. And these programs are in place because people do go through hard times in life, and that doesn't mean that they're working the system or running a con. I mean, what this administration's about to do to 40 million people is, you know, do I dare say the initial stages of starving and maybe a genocide. It's like, you know, getting people off of SNAP, this is not the way to do it.
Well, SNAP to the community gets $1.50 to $1.80 for every dollar spent. It is the ultimate communal efforts to support not just the people who require SNAP, but those who provide for it. And it's the ultimate in cruel and stupid to make it go away.
And evil.
It is. It is evil while we spend $40 billion to bail out Argentina.
Yeah.
Because that guy just happened to flatter Trump. I mean, we were warned about this. We know this is the case. You just have to flatter him. Like those dipshits in South Korea that gave him a replica crown yesterday.
And he got all excited about that.
While his number one, what has Carolyn Levitt says his number one priority is right now while people are starving? Do you know?
I don't.
The ballroom.
Oh, of course, because that's where the other $300+ million is going to build a ballroom no one asked for. And it's actually illegal what he's done because he didn't get a sign off from the Historic Society.
Yeah. And Trump, we know that there's probably plenty of spare room for your balls in your diaper. So you don't need.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know,
just drop some of that classic trash.
And yesterday when you and I were talking, you told me a very sad statistic about the amount of Head Start programs just here that are going to be closing.
Yeah, they've shut 41 down yesterday. And the thing with that is not only is that a great education for kids and gets a lot of at-risk children ready for school, which reduces vastly the costs of educating them, reduces vastly the costs of incarceration, which, since that's privatized, that's not something we want to do in this country, reduces vastly the costs of healthcare. Not only that, but now those people who are already working paycheck to paycheck, assuming they're still getting one, don't have a place to take their kid to go to work.
Or let alone afford to pay a place to take their kid, especially if they're either not getting paid or they've been laid off because Amazon, UPS, and I forget who else this week has laid off another 50,000 people.
Yeah, we had a 50,000 in one Amazon FedEx swoop. And that's what those people want. That's what Jeff Bezos is. That's why it is amazing to hear how, you know, the liberal media, when both the LA Times and the Washington Post, when their editorial departments decided to endorse Kamala Harris, both of the publishers took out that part of the editorial department. Yeah.
The Fourth Estate is
well, it's in trouble.
It's in major trouble.
Yeah, it's remember that horse that died in Neverending Story?
Yes.
That's the Fourth Estate right now. Yeah.
That's a great God, that's a good
and we're tugging on it. We're trying to save it, and it's gross. It is absolutely gross. What's really gross to me is there's just still so many people defending it. It's very hard to see this. You know, the people defending the demolition of the East Wing with that big lie about Obama. Obama spent $350 million on a basketball court.
No, he didn't.
He didn't. It was $350 million that it was approved during the Bush administration because the Bush administration, and this is kind of shocking to me, had the wherewithal to find out that there was a lot of electrical problems, there was a lot of plumbing problems, of course, in a very, very old house. And so they set aside that money to update everything. And what Obama did is paint some lines on a tennis court and add some baskets.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah, and just the lies. God, I saw someone on Facebook all excited because Adam Sandler, they learned, was going to host the Turning Point USA alternative halftime show. And It's not true. Stop being dumb. And this will be posted on Facebook, and which is just a crime in itself, because you saw that, Zuckerberg is at that dinner with all those other tech sellouts.
Tech bros.
And on camera, Trump turns to Zuckerberg and said, "So how much do you think you're going to spend this next year for America?" And he's like, $600 billion. And then when they don't think they're on camera, Zuck, who's a moron, turns to Trump and says, "Is that what we agreed on, me saying $600 billion?"
Oh, God.
Because they're all hoping that we're dumb enough to let this ruse continue.
Sadly,
So,
there
don't
is a
be.
large chunk of America that is dumb enough, and they're buying this crap and all the lies, and they're wanting to make America great again with 3Ks in America. And, for the rest of my natural born life, Jared Iwi, I am going to make sure that none of these people are martyrs or, celebrated for what they've done. I'm going to spend the rest of my days trolling these people and people that voted for him.
Yeah, it's to the point where I think it's just inexcusable.
Yep.
I remember even during the first term, I put a date in my head, which was like January 2019 or something, that after that date, if you were still supporting him, then you were going to be the lying racist asshole that you wanted him to be. And now here we are 6 years later, and we're way past that. Like, if you're still there, and, people do say, they try to give an excuse like, well, we're living in two different timelines because Fox News says this and like, you've had time to learn. You and I have taken time to watch Fox and see what they're saying. If other people aren't taking the time now just to look out their door and see what's going on in their community because of this administration, then you are the lying racist asshole you wanted Trump to be.
You and I have said many times on this podcast, like, you're either for having a seat at the table for everyone, including trans, people of color, whatever the label is. Everybody belongs at the table. Or you're a complete white supremacist. Mm-hmm. And to me, this has come down to not like which party did you vote for, but this is a thing about your value and your ethics. And if you can't be a critical thinker in this day and age with technology and all the information available in the palm of your hand and your phone, then I got nothing for you.
Yeah, it's funny, all these people that had been lecturing at me during COVID about dig deep and learn more.
Oh, please.
I'm like, okay, now are you going to actually dig deep and learn more?
Yeah.
I mean, where's the NRA that was going to stand up to tyranny? Where are the militias? Where are all those rednecks in the wraparound sunglasses that were telling me Obama was dangerous because he wanted health care for everyone?
Yeah.
I mean, stop being, excuse my language, but stop being the billionaire's bitch.
Yeah.
Stop. They're using you.
Or the billionaire's butt boy. I will say right now, when I got sick and didn't have insurance, Obamacare kept my parents from going bankrupt over keeping my ass alive.
Yeah.
So I will go to the mat to defend Obamacare. And, all of these people who haven't ever had something tragic or medical happen in their life that just think that what Trump is all about is the greatest thing and they think that he is the next coming of Christ, they are going to be sadly mistaken. And I'm going to be there with my popcorn waiting just to say, I fucking told you so.
Well, the greatest irony right now with the government shutdown is Democrats are holding out to save Republican lives because it's more Republicans that depend on these subsidies than Democrats.
And you won't ever hear that from Trump.
Right. Because, Trump and J.D. Vance, these guys, Stephen Miller, they are holding out, hoping that Democrats get blamed for him, and it hurts. But I don't, and it hurts Democrats. But I don't think that's happening right now. I think more and more people are seeing what's actually happening.
I mean, you go and log on to any U.S. government website, and there's a banner about the shutdown. And for the first few weeks, it was very partisan, blaming Democrats.
Yeah.
And that was shocking to me that they could put that out there.
That is, I think, a violation.
Yeah, and even yesterday, what killed me was Speaker Johnson, Mike Johnson, comes out and says, "Oh, there's no path forward for Trump for a third term." Johnson says something like, I can't overwrite the Constitution, and it's like interesting that comes up now. Where you been this whole time when you've been absolutely, roofing the Constitution and having their way with it.
Yeah, and that's not an accident. I mean, what they're doing there is they're just finding things to change the conversation and look more egalitarian than they are.
And they're not.
Of course, it's not. Of course, the third term isn't something that's normally allowed, but they've broken all kinds of things. And this is something that they can come out and say, and right now makes them look better than they are and distracts from the actual conversation of starving Americans. But also in the future, they can go back and say, we tried to be earnest about this, but we can't be because of the current situation in Portland. You know, everything they do is planned just to set up themselves from what in normal times for normal people would be being held accountable and ultimately failure. But they're just constantly propping themselves up with these BS announcements, whether it's Trump saying that the tariffs have brought in $17 trillion. He just repeated that. Or that fentanyl killed 250 million people last year. Pam Bondi said that. Like, they're just, and they get benefit on both sides, the idiots that believe it and those of us who are upset about it. And then they move on doing their own little thing, shatting all over America, quite literally in the recent AI video of Trump. And we are we're aghast. And I'm getting so tired, though, of like progressives and just sensible people in general. Like, are they getting away with this? And this is shocking. No, it's not. It's reality. And what is shocking is not enough people are doing something
right. Yeah. And that's my thing of like, no one's coming to save us. The Supreme Court is clearly not who we think they are. And, you know, no one's going to stop this guy. And so that's the scary reality behind all of this and the continual lies. I mean, at what point do you wonder, like, does this guy have full-blown dementia? Is it, you know, syphilis-caused dementia? I mean,
that's the thing. That doesn't even matter because he's not the president, you know?
Peter
Thiel.
And Stephen Miller. I mean, Project 2025 laid all of this out. You know, go read it. In fact, for anyone that thinks that I'm full of shit, go read in your history or Google it and look up 1939 and the things that Hitler was doing. You can draw parallels to today, including the ballroom, you know, including this disappearing of people. It smacks of 1939 and it makes my blood boil.
Well, that's a good way to end on that. It's a terrifying time. And it's just a good time to work our ass off to do this. I just think of some 18-year-old rolling up on Normandy and that kid probably slept 6 hours in a week. So there's a lot we can do. Yeah. We can't be sissies.
No. Okay, so let's get to the moth story.
Let's do it now.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, here's a story I told. The theme was comfort zone, and most people didn't even stick to the theme. And I noticed they didn't even time people. Like, people were going way long. There's not once I heard the violin player. They had a violin player on stage. Okay, so this actually, oh my God, I think like tomorrow maybe or the next day, November 1st, is
That's Saturday.
90, I think it's the 35th anniversary of this.
Of the moth?
No, of this story.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me.
Sorry.
No, I think the moth has been going since the 70s or something, but
my bad.
Yeah, so Comfort Zone was a story, and I mean, so this all came to me, well, because thank you, I went to Eugene to adjust the manhole cover, and I needed to escape the basement. I needed to get away from my just walking the dogs and going to the gym. Yeah, and because I had one story I was going to do, and I told the moth producers, they're like, oh, that's cute, and that I hate that word cute. If you tell me something's cute, I know it's not good.
You're not going to do it.
Yeah, and that cute is the word my mom would use when she was like thinking maybe I should date her, you know, her friend's daughter, and I was like, do you say she? No. Yeah, and so then I got the other story, the orgy story. Mm-hmm. And I just spent much of the night at where that orgy took place the other day, but I was just cleaning, trying not to get too drunk. That's a whole other story.
And the orgy story was told on this podcast in season 1.
Right, season 1. No, that's a good point. And then I was like, you know, I don't know how people will receive that. Everybody's kind of sensitive around that. And so I on the plane, and I'm like, oh my God, comfort zone. Yeah. I know this, because what happened is Otto is backing out of the driveway on his maiden voyage as a licensed driver, and I'm an insufferable dad, and so I just want to lob one last nugget at him, something that in my mind will save his life. And as he's pulling away, hoping not to hear anything more from me, I shout, "Don't get too comfortable!"
Such a dad thing to say.
No, and that's funny because my wife was there and she's just like, is that what we're going with? And I think about it, it's funny, like a bystander watching me shout that at a fleeing vehicle has like a super mafia vibe. Like, sleep lightly, punk.
Yeah.
And I kind of wondered too, like, why did I say that? And I realized it was not me that said it. It was 16-year-old me, imagine hair, who was thinking that as he was hanging upside down in his 1984 Subaru GL. And when I saw that in my head like that, I was like, oh man, this is the story. Because I got too comfortable. I fell victim to the stupors of comfort. Because my sister and I, we were bus riders, and my brother was too, but he had since was moving on from high school, etc. So he wasn't there to drive us around. So we were riding the bus, and where we lived, it was like an hour and a half every day. And I get the Subaru, which is power windows, power locks, AM, FM cassette. This thing's just the best ride. And it cut our commute on the bus down to 40 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. And my sister would sit and do her homework in the passenger seat, and I'd gaze at her proudly, older brother pride, as I drove to town, and would often try to eat breakfast. And that's where the trouble happens.
Okay.
Because we've got this beautiful ride on Highway 14 from Gould to Walden. I know it too well.
Yeah.
And I know it, I think I know it too well, right? And we get around the sharp curve at Three Rivers Ranch, and there's this amazing straightaway that goes right to the sky. And it's a beautiful fall day. Somehow we're getting this radio station from Craig, Colorado, KRAI FM super well, and Mariah Carey's blaring her song Fantasy. Ugh. And among her hefty squeals, I'm imbued with confidence, and it's time to eat breakfast.
Yes.
So I lock in my driving knee, and I start eating these things called handy snacks.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, yeah, and handy snacks, they weren't Lunchables. Handy snacks, like Lunchables could walk because handy snacks crawled. And they just had two compartments. They had a compartment with 4 crackers, and then they had this compartment which was kind of like a cavity of cheese. And and it came standard with like a spackle knife. And I had this whilst watching the road just to make sure I was even keel. I had this ceremony where I'd put just a little dab of the paste on each of the first 3 crackers, and then I would put the rest on the 4th cracker. But on this day, just feeling invincible, I take the little spackle sword and I carve out the entire cheese. I eat the first 3 crackers unceremoniously without any of the quote-unquote cheese, and I'm ready to go full cheese on the 4th. And check the road, got the knee in good place, and I'm taking the spackle blade up to the cracker, and it starts to fall off. Because I flew too close to the sun. I wanted all the cheese, but it falls off the tiny spackle blade. It wasn't enough to carry the whole cheese. And then I try to catch it with my knee, which is cat-like and noble, but that reaction takes me off the road a little bit, which is normally forgivable. Sure. Because in cities you've got shoulders and there's turn lanes. But in the country, I don't know what it is with poor rural counties, but apparently we get just enough asphalt for the width of 2 cars or 1 hay baler, and we go off the road in my tiny Subaru wheels. I'm like driving on dimes, and then we're off the road, and I'm like at an angle like this. And this is where someone with experience or thought processes beyond getting that cheese in his body would think, okay, I probably should just slow down. But no, I'm just going to turn back on the road because I'm a badass.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a word that's a lie, because the state patrolman would say in his report that I overcorrected. Which I think means I'm really good at correcting, right? So I take some of my legendary correcting and I turn this way. And then suddenly we're driving sideways. And I remember like, what? And so I go back to some more stupendous correcting, and then we're driving this way. And all of a sudden we're airborne. I don't know what's going on. It's like when you wreck it all, it's about 2 seconds, but it's everything within the vehicle. It's like slow-mo. Yeah, slow-mo symphony of destruction. I remember looking at my sister and she at me, and I was like, what? Meanwhile, like a glob of cheese, 0 G's. And then we hit the first time, bam, and we're upside down, and we hit, and the windshield just explodes. Oh. And I don't know what's going on. I remember thinking like, that's going to take a bit to fix. And then it's silent again. And I look at my sister as if, what's going on? And you feel the breeze because that shield of the wind is gone. And then wham, we hit again. And it's quiet. And I don't even really remember getting out of the car. All of a sudden, I'm just out, and I'm amongst cows. Oh. And we jumped the barbed wire fence. Didn't even touch the barbed wire fence.
Oh, my God.
Which is huge up there, because otherwise I'd have to spend a weekend fixing some rancher's barbed wire fence.
Yeah.
And there'd be cows in the field. But these cows are in the field. And I remember like getting out and they're really close. And one of them even looks like he's indignant. Like, bro.
What'd you do?
Yeah, you don't kill us until we get to Greeley, Which, by the way, thank you. Because, and the next thing you know, I'm just like a 99 cents Dances with Wolves. I'm running with cows. I don't know. I'm in shock. I don't know what's happening. And then I remember thinking, oh, God, my car. I wrecked my car. And I turn around and I cover my face, hoping there'd be some neat surprise. And I look, and there it is, like smoking and creaking, and gas is pouring out. It's just a 80s movie time bomb. And and then I hear, Jared, something far more important to my car. And I'm like, oh my God, my sister. And now it was a terrifying run back to the car, because I'm like, what am I going to find?
Oh.
Was that her final word? That she'd be so mad if saying her brother's name was her final word. And I run up there, and she's just suspended by the seatbelt in the air because the car's upside down, which apparently at some point I had been, but I'd gotten out of the car in some unconscious state of madness.
Adrenaline.
Yeah. And then in this completely loving Big Brother move, I just released the seatbelt and she crashes to the ceiling. And the only injury was her cutting her hand.
Thank God.
Right. And then we just grabbed our books and started walking to school. And it's funny, we had like 12 miles, and I'm thinking like 20 minutes a mile, we're going to be a little late. Like, should we just walk the other way? And while we're pondering this minivan pulls up, and it's this guy, Dan Kaup. He is the district attorney for Jackson County, the man who would represent the state with the charges against me. And so I don't care about legal, whatever. I'm just emotional and adrenalized, and I'm just telling him everything. I mean, I'm telling him absolutely everything. And I remember he's just like, okay, great story, but maybe don't include the stuff about the cheese.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's like, this is all off the record. I understand. You got some stuff going on right now. And that's funny. So anyway, we drive, he takes us to school. We get there just a little late, but that's where my mind was when I'm in the driveway.
When your son's backing out.
Well, seeing my son drive away, and older me, and realizing that what 16-year-old me had told my 16-year-old son was, ironically, the most comforting thing I could say.
I love it.
And that's the story.
It's a miracle that you and your sister got out unharmed, besides the cut on her hand. And I'm so glad you decided to go with that story, because it obviously won, but just more of a glimpse into some of the things that you've been through in life that have given you the wherewithal, the personality, and just the outlook that you have.
Well, in how I told it right there, my
wasn't
friend,
how you.
no, my friends would be like, that wasn't good.
I'm here to tell you how good it was, because I was in the audience.
Yeah, I know, but that, it's just that was still a little too careful. Like, I was being really careful because I just wanted to cover what you knew of the story. It's just weird. I don't know.
No, but don't discount that. I
it's
think,
just, but it's a process, and I think, I'm working on doing this syndicated radio show, and I have a rapport with the Moth, and I think, and I don't know if the Moth comes with me or not, but I want to start doing some like tiny moths where I can go around. Now, it could be with the radio show, where whenever there's a new affiliate, we come to a fundraiser for that station. Or it could just be for any fundraiser, and I bring some storytellers, and we do, So, I don't know. There's a lot there, and the more I do it...
No one's doing that. I think that
and this is the time. I had another idea the other day. Our neighbor died, Dan, next door, and so I had a little vigil in our driveway for him, and I was talking about people getting together, and I was thinking of this idea, like 1000barbecues.com, where we just go out there and everybody checks in with their barbecue that they're having, and I could get a sponsor that just buys all the hot dogs and stuff. I got a couple of guys and pretty high up in various companies who could just give me some gift cards to Costco, and start with 10barbecues.com. Everybody check in, and just getting people together
and talking face to face.
And that's where this storytelling, I think, is so hot right now. Is people really yearn for that. Even if it is for the most of the evening, just one-way traffic, but there is this connection you feel.
It's amazing. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because I'm your friend and I'm sitting in your basement. It's not comedy, and it's not spoken word, but it's its own niche. And it's really, even though I put my toe in the water of it and tried it out, it's like you really have to be good at painting the picture, which you are. And so, of course, you've won the Grand Slam 2 years in a row.
No, it's cool. And I love doing it. And I think that's where I can be successful with comedy. When I have been super successful with comedy, it's when I'm telling a story, not unlike that. but I have the time to weave in other things. And what I've done at shows is somebody sitting in the front, I say, you're the person, you're going to remind me where I was.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's interactive because I start off telling a story about the car, and then I get into a story about how I have Subarus today, and I feel like, I like the most powerful Coloradan.
Sure.
And then I can say, where was it in the story? And they'll be like, oh, you were putting cheese on the cracker. And so I just need to be bold enough again. I just took too much time away, and I just got to, baby step out there again.
I think you're being a little too hard on yourself. You did great. You know exactly what you need to do.
Well, before we go, which we have a minute here because I got my radio vibes. I know what 30 minutes is, but I am objectifying you. I just want you to know that. Is there a throuple update that you want to share?
I wish. I am.
But I think since the last one you got a round 2, or did the round 2 already happen?
We had a round 2.
Well, I only bring that up because you were doubting yourself. You're like,
yeah.
But then you got a round 2, and I mean, this girl's her voice. If there's a font for a voice, it would be called High Fucking Five.
No, but life is lifing, I guess, because you don't hear from people, and it's all good. Like you were saying, I have no claim to anything, and just got to keep on keeping on.
You do have a claim to some things, which I think you own, and quite brightly, and that is
they involve batteries.
That and I think at some point we should make them a sponsor, but you have had lots of opportunities to hook up, and you don't take them because you have integrity, and because you're like, no, I'm not doing that. Like you're fill in the blank of things that aren't quite acceptable to me, or maybe even society in general. You know, and a lot of people can't say that.
And I'm also not everyone's cup of tea either.
And somebody might judge on a throuple, but really, I mean, a couple reaches out to you, and you guys go through this courtship and are very careful and are providing. There's
a lot of vetting on both sides.
A lot of vetting, yeah. So anyway, I think you should be super proud of yourselves. I mean, there's some people can't even hook up with one person, and you get 2 at once. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ending on that note.
I'm available.